Diddy reportedly had a nervous breakdown after being attacked in prison. Sources say he might be a target because he knows damaging information about powerful people. It's rumored that major players in Hollywood and the music industry are trying to keep him quiet, worried about what he could reveal.
According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, "Spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him." If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, "He eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it." This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC. When he first arrived, he was on suicide watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's suicide watch was only temporary, though. He was housed in a special protective unit of the jail after that for the first few weeks of his stay. But Diddy right now is in Gen Pop, meaning general population, the place where majority of the inmates stay. And that's where he apparently had this meltdown over the holidays, at least according to one source.
Jennifer Lopez has now been identified as both a witness and a co-conspirator in the case against Diddy. A new lawsuit accuses her of helping cover up a crime, with the victim claiming that Lopez knew about Diddy's actions. The suit also alleges that Diddy showed her tapes of his alleged crimes during their relationship in the late 1990s. If the case goes to trial, Lopez could be called to testify against Diddy, and it's unclear what information.
Going back to Cardella Smith's filing, his notice says that Jennifer Lynn Lopez, aka J-Lo, aka Jenny from the Block, quote, will be called as a material witness and expert to Sean Combs' viewing, possession, and distribution of his sexual assault upon the plaintiff in 1997 and the orders of defendant Sean Combs forcing Jennifer Lopez to remain silent about the videotaped sexual assault of plaintiff by defendant. Plaintiff states that the material witness Jennifer Lynn Lopez, also known as J-Lo and Jenny from the Block, was engaged in a relationship with the defendant Sean Combs during 1999 and 2001, and that the sexual assault of the plaintiff was recorded, distributed, and held by the defendant at his New York residence and recording studio. And during the relationship with Jennifer Lopez, she was made privy to this video that was taken by Sean Combs and his employee Kirk Burrows. She, J-Lo, has known this video existed and was in existence and took no action to make it known to anyone in law enforcement, and that she was even questioned by New York Police Detective Derek Palmer about this matter, and that the report will show that her answers to this tape was and still remains a resounding yes to its existence. And again, Cardella Smith writes that he wants to call Officer Derek Palmer as a witness because he says Palmer is the one who questioned Lopez and believes that he will have testimony that could help his case. Now, as I mentioned, Diddy's legal team has called for this entire case to be thrown out. Cardella Smith has filed a massive response to that request that totaled more than 200 pages. Probably half of it was just straight up copies of case law that seems to support his arguments, word for word. It's something out of like a legal textbook. There's so much to slog through, but I kind of want to give you some of the highlights. So first, in addition to the claims of rape and a cover-up, Cardella Smith also claims and alleges that Combs was violent towards his loved ones. At times, Cardella Smith addresses alleged threats against his family. Other times, he says Combs actually caused serious injuries to his brother. His response reads, defendant used threats of murder to force the plaintiff to not bring the case to any court of law enforcement until the homes of the defendant were raided by Homeland Security, that the plaintiff knew it was a safe time to bring the case, and that is why we are here at this juncture. And Cardella Smith argued that fear for his own safety and the safety of his family is one of the main reasons that he waited so long to report the alleged rape, and says that that reason alone should override any issue with the statute of limitations, that these claims might otherwise be time barred. And he also argues that while he's been in prison, fellow inmates and prison guards have threatened him on behalf of Sean.
With high-profile names like Jennifer Lopez, Jay-Z, and Beyoncé now linked to Diddy, many wealthy and influential figures are reportedly worried about the possible fallout from this case. These same individuals were once rumored to have been involved in silencing Jeffrey Epstein before his death. Now, similar concerns are rising about Diddy, with rumors suggesting he may be suicidal. Some are starting to question whether it's just a coincidence that as more names surface in connection to Diddy, He's been attacked in prison and is allegedly dealing with a nervous breakdown.
Makes sense, but you knowing Diddy personally, do you think it's possible he might take his life?
It takes a certain individual to prepare himself to do a lot of years in jail. From the lifestyle that he had, I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he'd be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He'd do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bruh. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial.
Diddy is reportedly aware that his life may be in danger in prison, especially if those he was allegedly involved with suspect he's cooperating with authorities to secure bail. His legal team offered over $50 million and even submitted his passport to the court, but the judge rejected the request. Given Diddy's history of threatening victims, releasing him could put witnesses in the case at serious risk.
The proposed bail package. A $50 million bond, co-signed by him, his mom, his sister, the mother of his oldest daughter, and his 3 adult sons. It's going to be secured by the equity in his property in Miami, Florida. Home detention, his passport will be surrendered. The government said that's insufficient. They said, look at the charges, look at the weight of the evidence that I just mentioned. They said they have allegations that he and his associates were trying to tamper with witness testimony last year so that they wouldn't cooperate with the government. What do you take away about who has the stronger argument in terms of bail?
Well, I think his counsel has done the best they possibly can. I think bringing him there voluntarily is very smart, starts them out on the right foot. But I think the last thing that you just mentioned, the interfering with witnesses.
That's the allegation, yeah.
Yeah, if that's true, or I should say, if there's real indicia that happened, I think that might tip the scales in favor of not letting him out pending trial, because I think, and you know this, I think judges take an extraordinarily dim view of that, and that might be the factor that tips the scale against him. But I think as far as a tactic, I think it was very smart to do what they did and to say, look, you know, he's here. You didn't have to track him down. He's got a real defense here. He's doing everything right, at least right now. I'm not sure it's going to be enough at the end.
Diddy's attorney, Mark Anapo, announced in a press conference that they plan to request bail again. He also suggested that jail is unsafe for Diddy and proposed house arrest as an alternative. Due to the serious charges he's facing, Diddy is considered vulnerable in prison and has been placed in solitary confinement for his safety instead of being in the general population.
We made a bail appeal to Judge Carter. It did not go our way. The fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible. I'm going to try and minimize the amount of time he spends in very, very difficult and I believe inhumane housing conditions in the special housing unit of the Metropolitan Detention Facility. And I'm going to do everything that I can to move his case as quickly as possible. I understand that the government has a great amount of electronic devices that they have to download and provide to me, but everything's on the government's timetable, nothing's on the defendant's timetable, and they're going to have to accommodate me and him and give us a quick trial and I'm going to be pushing for that. He's ready. He's focused. He has been ready to defend this case since he first found out about this case. Nothing has changed from his perspective. I obviously would much prefer to fight this case with him out of jail, and we are going to try to bring that about through additional legal process. But wherever he is, his resolve is the same. He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent, and we're going to fight this case with all of our might.
Sources close to Diddy believe he may be granted bail soon, as he's reportedly using all his influence to make it happen. It's notable that Diddy is good friends with Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, and just a month before his arrest, he was given the key to the city. Many find it hard to believe Mayor Adams didn't know about the investigation into Diddy, especially since he chose to honor him with the key, possibly to help improve Diddy's public image.
The prosecutor presented that the judge was going to allow him to be bonded out on the first get-go. Now, if he comes up with some more hearings, he might be released. But based on the evidence, they've been following him, bro. They've been tapping his phone, been having people watch him. You understand? He been coming back and forth from New York, and he don't usually be coming back to New York. And somebody was telling me that, yo, listen here, yo, he trying to get witnesses. Remember when they released that first thing of Cassie, and I said that Diddy was trying to contact people for character witnesses, people for who he had problems with before, whatever like that, and trying to talk to them in the whole 9 yards. That's when they dropped that thing with Cassie. The Homeland Security had some agency or whatever like that that deals with that, dropped that thing on Cassie to show everybody, oh, y'all want to help him? Y'all, this is what y'all want to help? This is who y'all want to, say that he ain't never did nothing. This is what you want to put your brand on? And everybody started backing up from him. Everybody was talking about, yo, man, Cassie was a gold digger. Cassie was this, that, and the third. She loved it in the whole 9 yards. And then when they seen that, all his friends or so-called friends, went away. So him not having a bond is not surprising.
Yeah, and he offered them $50 million, and they still denied his bond.
He should have waited to see what they was gonna offer. Because if he got $50 million to get him and offer that, then they think like, yo, that's too little.
Some sources, like Gandil, view this as part of a much bigger conspiracy. Diddy may not even be the FBI's main target. Instead, they might be using him to get to more powerful criminals, despite others in similar situations being granted bail. Diddy's bail has been denied 3 times, and some believe this could be a strategy to make him seem scared and ready to testify, with the goal of catching someone even more
He might get bail. Now you're wondering why I'm saying that. See, they are trying to use some of the things that happen to criminals all the time, or inmates all the time. They always, brother, they always do those impromptu searches. And in one of the cases, in this particular case, they said that when they did the impromptu search, well, they took some of his legal information, and the judge ordered them to give that back. So I guess the lawyers are going to come up with a couple of new things saying that he can't properly, have his case be properly, what do you call it when they client get they client and lawyer privileges. He can't properly do his case with, you understand, with them constantly going into jail cells, searching him, taking his legal briefs, taking his information, and then probably using it against him. But I don't believe none of that to be true. I believe that they went in there just like they do all the other inmates based on the information they had. You gotta realize this, bro. They found out that Diddy was using other inmates' phone cards. Now that probably happens all the time. You understand? And he got to be probably the smartest, dumbest person that I know, because he got to know that those phone calls are being taped. So whatever his lawyers and them come up with, the prosecution's gonna come up with something else. So the judge is gonna wanna know, well, what did they do, when they found out he was in violation of some of this stuff that he was doing? Did they charge him with something new? Did they take some of his privileges away? What has happened in the interim of him doing this stuff that they alleged that he done? So it's gonna be a whole forestry of next week, because what they did was they held off whatever the procedures was gonna go down today. The judge said he gonna revisit this next week. So I guess, I don't know if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll find out what's going on, but it's gonna be something that I think it may shock the world.
In a recent appearance on the PBD podcast, Fox News host Jesse Waters shared that Fox News had received intel suggesting Diddy may be set up to take the fall for something much bigger. Diddy has ties to some of the country's most powerful figures, and if he were to speak out, it could bring serious legal consequences for them. The stakes are high, and many believe Diddy's silence could help shield others from facing the consequences.
These people, a lot of these people were also aspiring young artists in the music industry. And then these parties were sponsored by Motown Records CEO, Universal Records CEO. This goes all the way to the top. And so you get these people in compromising situations. The drinks were laced, the videotapes were hot. And then at the end of the day, you wake up the next morning, what did I do? And then they have compromising material on you. And then they can guide your career. They could kill your career, but they got you. And it wasn't just people in the music business. As you said, there were athletes, there were celebrities, there were politicians, people from the royal family. And we were also told by the former bodyguard that Diddy was an FBI informant. Whoa. So he was a snitch and was feeding information to the feds. And we don't know what that means. We haven't been able to confirm it, but even Little Rod said it's not just like Epstein. It could be worse than Jeffrey Epstein.
Diddy is under constant surveillance due to threats on his life, and many believe something major is about to unfold. A few months ago, he was reportedly paying inmates to do his chores, but now he's said to be crying after being attacked. This shift has raised questions about why he's suddenly being targeted.
News right now, Larry. I am just getting word. People magazine says it's got a source on the inside that tells them that P. Diddy's on suicide watch tonight. Do your sources confer the same information? Are they saying it was possible?
Hey, real quickly, all that commissary stuff, he's not getting any of that because people in the SHU have an abbreviated list. So he's out of luck. No stake for him. Yeah, he is on suicide watch. This guy thought he would have went home. All of a sudden, he didn't get bond. Remember, the first night that he was there, he was like an overnight guest. When they told his bond hearing, now they checked him into the system, and reality has hit him. And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on suicide watch. Another error that I guess some warden told you this. There are sentenced inmates there. They're called cadre inmates. They don't have to be white collar inmates, but they're doing maintenance on the building. And the problem why there's a lot of violence there, they have housing units. And they're mixing bank robbers, drug dealers, rapists with white collar people. And this is why Diddy, he can't go into a regular housing unit because somebody will take him out for sure. Somebody's gonna get a lot of street credibility out of this. People that are doing substantial time that know they're never getting out. They'll just kill a guy, no questions asked.
You think that they'd suck up to him because he's got a lot of money, and if he ever does get the commissary options, he would be able to help them.
Some people do. Because
I got to wrap it real quick.
Okay, some people do think that Diddy can help him, but this guy's going to be locked up forever. His case will probably take at least 3 years to litigate. He'll stay at MDC. There's rumors that he wants to go to Essex County Jail in New Jersey because he doesn't like MDC. He's a Marshals inmate. There's no way they're going to transfer him back and forth, I don't know, several times a week, 6 Marshals to do it.
Jersey.
He's out of luck.